Hello, welcome to Old Virginia Homes. American history tends to spotlight our generals and presidents. Our founding fathers were the men commanding the room, and their legacies deserve chapters in history books or even biographies all their own. But there were also some great women sitting in the room, observing, studying, and quietly shaping history. Eleanor Nelly Custis was raised in the shadow of George Washington's influence, yet was destined to leave a legacy all her own. As a girl, she lived with George and Martha at Mount Vernon during those fragile early years of the Republic, so she also witnessed the private world behind public greatness and carried those memories into a new century. But today we'll be visiting the place she made her home as an adult, the place where she spent her last years, the place where she died in 1852. Join me as we visit Audley Farm, an old Virginia home in Berryville. Let's go. Tucked into the rolling green landscape of Clark County, where the Blue Ridge Mountains rise softly in the background and the rhythms of Virginia agriculture and hunt country remain in the foreground, stands Audley Farm. This is a working estate where history feels less like the past and instead is synchronized with the present. Audley Farm is one of the most continuously operating farms in Virginia. As always, the animals are a delightful distraction for me. This as of yet unnamed little guy is just a few weeks old. He stole my heart and my skirt. And these sweethearts were as curious about me as I was about them. But I digress. The land that would become Audley Farm was once part of a vast estate tied to the family of George Washington. In the early 19th century, it came into the possession of his beloved granddaughter, Eleanor Parke Custis, known affectionately as Nelly. Nelly and her brother came to live at Mount Vernon with George and Martha following the death of their father. Their mother remarried, but the siblings remained in the care of their paternal grandmother and step-grandfather. Nelly's brother, George Washington Parke Custis, built Arlington House, largely as a tribute to George Washington. I'll link my video about that amazing house at the end of this video. Nelly would also share her devotion and reverence for her grandfather, and like her brother, she would be credited for preserving many of the physical objects associated with their lives at Mount Vernon. The brick house at Audley Plantation was built in the 1790s by Warner Washington Jr., who was a businessman and a cousin to George. This house was not a typical style of the time, as it was one story and followed an uncommon T-shaped floor plan. The long, wide central passage has no stairs, with smaller rooms to either side. On February 22, 1799, Nelly Custis married George Washington's nephew, Lawrence Lewis, by candlelight in the new room at Mount Vernon. This was not only a wedding celebration, but was also George Washington's 67th and final birthday. The couple would build Woodlawn Plantation between 1800 and 1805 in Fairfax County. George Washington had gifted the 2,000 acres of his land to his little darling, Nelly, and his favorite nephew, Lawrence, as a wedding present. The Lewises would have 8 children, 4 of whom survived into adulthood. As Nelly had been provided with much affection, as well as educational and cultural opportunities growing up, she made sure her own children were also educated by private tutors who instructed them in reading, writing, languages, music, and art. She was an extremely devoted mother, writing, "My Frances runs about everywhere, sings, dances, and is much delighted with a doll I bought for her in Alexandria. She is extremely fond of her father and myself. You shall be pleased to hear I have another little darling to divide my affection with my precious Frances. In August or September, I expect to inform you of such an event, if no accident intervenes. I often think what I shall do with more, when one engrosses me so much." She later wrote, "My precious Frances is her grandmamma's darling, and my little smiling Martha is one of the most quiet children I ever saw. I love them equally. I do not feel the least difference in my affection for them." Although Frances would grow into adulthood, unfortunately, little Martha would be one of the 4 out of 8 Lewis children who would die as babies. Poor Nelly would also suffer from 8 miscarriages. Life was hard and full of death, and this was one devoted mama. In the 1820s, Nelly and Lawrence purchased Audley from Warner Washington Jr. and expanded the home, turning the T plan into an H plan by adding a wing onto the back of the house that ran parallel to the front. This created a dining room, library, and bedchamber. After the death of Lawrence Lewis in 1839, Nelly continued to manage the estate. Upon her death at Audley in 1852, she was buried at Mount Vernon in an enclosure adjoining George Washington's tomb. Audley passed through different hands throughout the 19th century, its identity shifting somewhat from plantation agricultural to the more pastoral hunt country. The brick slave quarters dating to the early 19th century are a reminder of Audley's plantation history. According to the slave census, in 1810, Warner Washington Jr. owned 60 enslaved workers. In the early 1920s, brothers Montfort and Bernard B. Jones purchased Audley Farm and established it as a renowned thoroughbred breeding and training facility. They renovated the house and added barns, stables, and other supporting structures. Throughout the 20th century, Audley Farm became one of the region's notable equestrian estates. Its open fields and gentle terrain suited to the traditions of fox hunting and horse breeding. Many notable stallions stood here, including Sir Barton, America's first Triple Crown winner. Today, Audley continues this legacy of excellence as a 3,000-acre estate specializing in both horses and cattle. Records of the Keeneland yearling sale from September 2025 show that one of Audley's yearlings sold for $325,000. Although I didn't see this particular sale, I was fortunate enough to be at Keeneland last fall and was transported into the fascinating world of the thoroughbred industry. Located in Lexington, Kentucky, Keeneland is touted as the world's largest and most prominent thoroughbred auction house. They also host world-class racing twice a year. But back to Virginia. Audley continues to be a vibrant part of the Clark County community, hosting events, open houses, farm markets, and more. Here the layers of history continue. The legacy of America's founding generation lingers in the landscape, while hoofbeats are still heard. Generous pastures stretch wide, and the views are long, a 360-degree panorama, preserved as part of a larger vision to protect the character of this land for years to come. Thank you for visiting Audley Farm with me today, an old Virginia home.